Last night, Trump's FCC forced CBS to pull a Democratic Senate candidate from The Late Show. And the bastion of free speech himself, the outgoing Late Show host Stephen Colbert, defied CBS and the Trump administration live on air. And when you find out exactly why they are so scared of this one Democrat, a Southern man from Texas who knows the Bible better than the people that are weaponizing it, it starts to make all the sense in the world. So look, if you didn't see this already, Stephen Colbert had Texas State Representative James Tallarico booked as a guest on The Late Show. The CBS lawyers called the show directly and told them in no uncertain terms that the interview could not air. They then told Colbert he wasn't even allowed to mention that the interview had been pulled, and he couldn't even show a picture of Tallarico. So of course, Colbert did what he does best. He gave them the proverbial middle finger and went on air anyway, showing a stock photo of not James Tallarico and posted the full interview on YouTube. Now, this all started with FCC Chairman Brendan Carr sending a letter back in January threatening to strip talk shows of their longtime exemption from the equal time rule. It actually started with The View interviewing James Tallarico. And this rule says that if you put one political candidate on, you have to give equal airtime to their opponents. Now, Carr hasn't formally changed this rule yet. He's just hinted at these changes. But of course, the all-but state-run CBS decided it had to enforce the rule as if the FCC had already implemented it. But to understand why Trump's people are so upset with James Tallarico, you need to know who this man actually is. He's not just some Democrat who goes to church on Sunday. He's a seminary student, an aspiring Presbyterian minister, raised in South Texas with a Baptist preacher grandfather. He quotes scripture from memory, and he quotes it in committee hearings. He wears cowboy boots with the Texas House seal. He is what the evangelicals on the right want to be. And when Texas Republicans tried to force the Ten Commandments into every public school classroom, Tallarico didn't just oppose it, he took their own Bible and read it back to them. On the floor of the Texas House, he said, and I'm quoting him directly, "A religion that has to force people to put up a poster to prove its legitimacy is a dead religion, and it's not one I want to be a part of." That bill at the time died before it could get a vote. And here's the thing, folks. I'm going to lean a little bit on the way Tallarico uses scripture here, throwing a chapter and verse out here and there. But please don't think I'm preaching about a certain denomination. I studied poli-sci and religion, not a religion, religion in college, and I was raised in a conservative Catholic household in the Bible Belt. I'm recovering now. But I do know how these folks operate, and I want to show exactly how Tallarico is countering their bigotry. So when Texas tried to put up the Ten Commandments in the classrooms, it wasn't about Jesus. It's about dominance. It's about marking their territory and putting people in their place. Hell, ask these folks why they aren't standing behind putting the Beatitudes, just like James Tallarico asked. I mean, blessed are the poor in spirit, right? That sounds a lot better in a classroom than the Ten Commandments. And when someone walks in who knows the text of the Bible better than these evangelicals, and then he uses it against them, they get enraged. They lose their minds. Why? Because evangelicals on the right are not applying the teachings of Jesus to politics. They're taking their bigotry and their insecurities and preaching it to the masses and calling it Christianity. And they can't stand that Jesus, he was actually woke. And Tallarico makes that point perfectly clear. And him running for Senate in Texas, telling voters directly, not by implication, but directly, that their Republican Party has abandoned Christian values, that is perfect. And on this banned Colbert interview, Tallarico said that this is a party that ran against cancel culture. And now they're trying to control what we watch, what we say, what we read. It is the most dangerous kind of cancel culture, the kind that comes from the top. And he's right here, folks. It's one thing when someone says something so awful that the masses rise up and demand accountability. Instead, this is Trump and his band of hypocrites, his unrepentant grifters and morally bankrupt abusers, using their power to punish the masses for speaking out. I mean, come on. These are the same Republicans who are excusing the Epstein files. The same people who are calling themselves Christians while DHS and ICE are separating families, detaining people without due process, deporting legal residents, and brutally taking the lives of the innocents. And they're cheering it on. These are the same people like Randy Fine that are comparing Muslims to dogs. And Tallarico is dangerous to them because he looks directly into the camera and says you cannot square your bigotry and actions with the gospel. Look, Jesus said feed the hungry, clothe the naked, welcome the stranger. That's not woke, that's Matthew 25. And a conservative evangelical audience in Texas should know that. And that's what makes Tallarico dangerous to them. And by the way, Tallarico is damn good at what he's doing. He went on Joe Rogan, not MSNBC, not a liberal podcast, Joe Rogan, in front of one of the most politically mixed audiences, if you can even call it that, in the country. And he made the case from Scripture that the Bible's not cut and dried on abortion, like the Christian right claims. He cited the book of Luke, where the angel Gabriel came before Mary, before she was even pregnant, and asked her consent. Asked her consent. Tallarico said on Rogan, "To me, that is an affirmation in one of our most central stories that creation has to be done with consent. You cannot force someone to create." Masterful work there. And Rogan told him right then he should run for president in front of his millions of listeners. Predictably, the RNC called him a radical left-wing Democrat. A conservative Texas state rep went on social media and said Tallarico isn't reading from the same Bible he's reading. And that's it. That's all they've got. Because they can't out-Bible Tallarico, and they can't unwoke Jesus. Look, I grew up in the Republican Party. I grew up going to church. And I know what the actual core message of Christianity is. And I know what it's been turned into by these people who are using it like a political weapon. When the Epstein files are revealing that powerful men are trafficking children, the Christian right is shrugging. That is a moral failure. And James Tallarico is calling that out in a language that a lot of voters in this country are hungry for. Look, Trump isn't scared of generic Democrats. He's scared of someone who can take away his most powerful political weapon, and that's the idea that somehow Trump is God's favorite. Doesn't it seem like our feeds are getting filled with more and more BS right-wing MAGA content? It's no secret that all these top tech bros are in love with the current regime, so it's no surprise that independent left-leaning media is being squashed by the algorithm. If you like our content and content like us, it doesn't take long to click that thumbs up, share, comment, or subscribe. So please help us keep the truth alive.